can't get anywhere with a negative mindset. You've got to be positive. You've got to just
Yeah,
have patience. That's the big part, is patience.
100%.
And overnight, you've got to keep working for it.
Katie, good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Well, first of all, I love the fact that you're sitting there in the gym. Like, that's absolutely amazing to begin with.
Came in early so I could talk to you afterwards.
So I'm guessing it's early for you. You've got your workout in, and then you're going to speak to me and then off to work. Did you say?
Yes.
Good for you. And you're looking great, by the way. Look at you. You look fantastic. I've got to say that from the very off. Like, I didn't, you absolutely look like you're in the gym, giving it everything. So well done. So, I mean, first of all, thank you for, obviously wanting to come onto the podcast and share your experiences. It's delightful to get to talk to you again. And for the people listening, watching this, though, are going to have no clue to anything up until this point. Before deciding that you wanted to join us, where were you before that? So if you think back to before you joined us, what were you maybe struggling with, concerned about, worried about, like couldn't fix, didn't know what to do? What were things like that made you want to go off and make a change and maybe find some help to get you along that way?
Well, I've been going to the gym for about 3 years before I contacted you guys. I was pushing 200 pounds, feeling like crap. Thyroid removed 10 years ago, former smoker, didn't take care of myself at all. Everybody else came first. So 3 years ago, I have a friend I graduated high school with that said, he works at the gym, and he said he either has seniors or teenagers. There's no in between. He wanted to get a group of 40-year-olds in. So there's a whole crew of us in here now that come different times a day. But yeah, before I called you guys, I was really struggling with the nutrition aspect of it. Perimenopause, having to balance my thyroid issues, fibromyalgia, arthritis. This is a tricky age. It's hard to deal with. And I was tired of guessing at the macros and the calories and the amount of fuel my body needed. So I decided to call you guys.
Sounds like there's a lot of things there that you're struggling with. And some of those things are not things that just disappear either. Thyroid issues they don't just suddenly disappear. Fibromyalgia isn't something that, to my understanding, suddenly disappears. You will obviously know better than I, but it's how well can something be managed and you still get through your day productively, not in as little pain as possible, and so on and so forth. So you'd been training, I think you said, for 3 years. What sort of level of progress do you think you'd made in those 3 years? Much, or was it just sort of disappointing amount? What was going on?
I lost 40 pounds, put on a lot of muscle, still had a lot of fat. I didn't know enough how to trim the fat down. But yeah, Shanna's got me there. Almost.
She's a star, right? She knows what she did. So the key goal then was for you was to really stop the guesswork. Was it starting to feel like you were, I don't know, maybe going round in circles a little bit, like maybe chasing shadows?
Yeah, I was getting nowhere quick, exhausted all the time. I wasn't eating enough carbs, wasn't giving my body what it needed, and she got me on the right path with that.
Amazing. So obviously we then spoke, you came on board. Shana, our head coach, is obviously looking after you, and obviously we'll sort of come into what progress you've made. But of course, we tend to focus on different for each individual, but we could say that there are 3 initial key areas: training, nutrition, accountability. Most things fall into those. And of course, we're also looking at stress, sleep, all these other things. But let's go through those, and it'd be good to get some input from you as to maybe what things you've learned or aha moments you've had. So we know the nutrition will be a big one, so we'll come to that in a second. But let's maybe training. So you said you'd been training for 3 years, you'd put on muscle. What sort of impact has Shana had on you in terms of maybe style of training, correctness, in form? Tell us a little bit about that.
My form has gotten better. I wasn't focusing on that enough. I was overdoing it. I was coming 5 days a week in strength training and cardio every now and then. She's got me, I think she started me out on 3, and then I went to 4 days. And then I did a crazy cut. Every year our gym does a push-pull competition, bench press deadlift, and I wanted to get into the lowest weight class. She got me there.
Oh, so you've had
I did a DEKA mile. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was exhausted, but I did it.
So you've had like a side goal going on then, basically, which was not only just to continue getting in the best shape, but you also then had a sort of, I guess, like a powerlifting competition, and you had to get down in weight for that.
What's going on? I'm my biggest competition. If I don't have a goal to push for, I kind of lose sight of what I'm doing. So next up is a DEKA Strong, and then I've got a Spartan 5K in October.
I agree with you. And I think many people listening to this, if they've ever had a very specific goal in front of them. A very common one would be someone, like someone wanting to run a marathon. You suddenly put that goal in front of you, and then suddenly you will go out and do the training for it. When it comes, like, that's a goal, and it's going to be a thing that happens on a particular day, and you either ran the marathon or you did not. It's tangible. When someone says, I want to get in the shape of my life, I want to improve my longevity, I want to feel toned, none of those things are technically tangible. They're great goals, and all of us are trying to achieve them anyway, but they're sort of fluffy around the edges. We don't know if we've ever technically achieved longevity or not. There's no gold star to we've achieved that thing. Putting the goals in place that you've put in mean you're achieving what we would call longevity as a secondary to going off and achieving the actual tangible goals, which is doing the sort of long distance stuff, doing the power. Like, they're things that you have to work towards. I think it's fair to say, while working towards them, you can't not be improving health and longevity along the way. They're they come in tandem. So you've certainly had form improved, been training better. Okay, nutrition. So the area that you said was probably the reason that maybe you came here in the first place. Tell us a little bit of what was the first plan like what was the first thing that Shana gave to you, and what was your reaction to that? I guess because you said you weren't eating a lot of carbs, I imagine suddenly Shana's like, no, here's some carbs, and you're like, uh-oh, like, what? How did that bit go?
My reaction was, this is a lot of food. She put me on maintenance, and it was 1,700 calories. I hadn't been eating that much, and it was a lot more carbs than I was used to, and I was like, I don't know if I can eat this much. It was a lot, but yeah, I'm used to it. I've gone from maintenance to the cut, which was, I think, 1,200 on the days I didn't work out and 1,600 on the days I did. I did that, I think, from March until last week. And now I'm on 2,000 on the days I do work out and 1,600 or 1,500 on the days I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to that volume of food compared to before.
And this is an interesting thing, because many people will come to us, and other coaches, of course, wanting to get trimmer and more in shape. But weirdly,
alphas, I interrupt this show with a simple message. This show is here to benefit you and your progression to the best version of yourself. But not only just you, it's also here to benefit the people around you, your loved ones, your friends, other alphas in your vicinity. So why not do a really cool thing today? Something that I would thank you for, and maybe someone else would. Share this podcast with at least one other alpha out there who you know would benefit from it. Why not share the information, share the ability for someone else to grow? I'm sure they would thank you. I 100% would absolutely thank you. This podcast only grows by our listeners, our followers doing amazing things like giving us 5-star reviews, downloading podcasts, subscribing, and then, of course, sharing it with other people. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Share it with one person, and, of course, drop us a 5-star review, download the podcast, and, of course, subscribe. And now back to the show.
Technically under eating. We do have people come to us who are overeating, eating junk food, eating convenience, eating low quality of food that's very high in calories, and wondering why they're not losing weight. But that's one selection of people. There's then definitely a selection of people who are coming in, and we would say under eating. So we come along and look at that and vastly improve the quality of the food, the macro in the right place. And then suddenly, as you've just said, someone's like, wow, that's a lot of food. A lot of food and a lot of nutrition, in my mind, like, fall into two different things. Like, a lot of nutrition is great. A lot of food is, well, it's neither good nor bad or anything. It's just a lot of food. And so now you're starting to push calories up a little bit, which is always a great thing. Ultimately, the more food we can get away with eating and still stay in shape or make the progress we want, that I think the better. The more nutrition coming through the body. Certainly when you train like you do. I mean, you're not messing around, right? You're out there, like, obviously training hard. You've got big goals in front of you. That those goals need to be, or you're looking at, I imagine you're looking at food as fuel. You see, I mean, there's enjoyment. I'm sure where you live, there's obviously a lot of great food around.
I don't look at it as a treat. It is fuel. It's nutrition. It's what my body needs to survive and to grow and to stay healthy. It's also medicine. you've got to eat good food if you want quality of life.
And also for mental cognition. I mean, you're I think you're a very busy individual in terms of work life, I think, and of course, we need to be mentally sharp, with our cognition, our decision making processes, our brain health through the day. One, how we exercise, sleep, rest, recovery, but also the nutrition, where we put certain macros in the day. For some people, they eat carbohydrates, with nothing wrong with carbohydrates, but eat carbohydrates kind of go a little bit sleepy. So where we put those carbohydrates in the day for a busy person, then can make a massive difference as well. So one area I know that Shana is particularly good at, which is the accountability side of things. So you've gone from maybe having, I don't know, maybe no particularly external accountability to then having Shana, who's our head coach. And tell me a little bit about how that's gone for you. How do you feel you've benefited from having Shana in your corner?
She knows a lot about a lot, and I am so glad you put me with her. She is fantastic. I mean, she just, from everything, she's got the menopause, the hormonal issues. She's got the knowledge on that. My doctor's got me on a very low dose of testosterone, and she knew that it was okay to lower my fat intake because of that. I mean, just that right there. Wayne, the guy at the gym, he looked at my nutrition plan on the day of the DEKA, and he said, "This is how I know what she knows what she's doing." She had kosher salt and other things in for the day of the DEKA. And I was like, "Well, I told you she knew what she was doing." He's like, "Well, you've lost 20 pounds. I'd say she does." So I've literally lost 20 pounds in 2 months.
20 pounds in 2 months. And how, I mean, I'm imagining your training wasn't affected, because losing 20 pounds is one thing, losing 20 pounds, but remaining physical performance is another. And obviously, I'm guessing you probably improved in terms of your lifting, let alone got stuck or gone backwards, right?
Oh, I was in the gym 7 days a week. I think I was doing strength training 3 of those and cardio 7 days a week. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I lost a little bit of muscle during that time, but it wasn't much at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair, and obviously that was to get you down for that meet, right? So obviously, but that was a fairly aggressive. Obviously that understandably, that's a fairly aggressive. But I think what a good point there is, it goes to show what is possible with, one, the right mindset from yourself, 2, the right plan, and 3, just the right push. Right. You put you put all those things in place, and I get that some people say, "Oh, I can't lose weight, or I can't do this, or I can't do that." Well, that's with that mindset. No, you can't.
You've got to have it in your head. I'm going to do this. I've got the help, I've got the knowledge behind me. I've got someone pushing me. I can do it. And
it's even, I see it. And if someone says, "Oh, I'm going to go off and try and lose 20 pounds," I'm like, "Well, you'll fail." And they'll be like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Because you've just said you'll try."
Yeah.
I know I'm a little bit analytical when it comes to these things, but I think what we tell ourselves, the little voice that we have in our own head, we don't realize the internal dialogue. I will try and do something. No. I'm going to do it.
You can't get anywhere with a negative mindset. You've got to be positive. You've got to just have patience. That's the big part, is patience.
100%.
And overnight, you've got to keep working for it.
You've been doing so well, and so huge changes. You've obviously achieved a huge amount, and I'm so happy how well things are going for you. I genuinely am. And so now looking forward, then, so you've got what were the goals you said that you've got going off in front of you? You've got more things to be working towards.
Well, I've got a DEKA Strong, and then a Spartan 5K on October 6th. After that, not sure. Just want to stay in good shape and have the best quality of life possible for the longest till the end. That's the goal.
I think you're doing amazing. And if you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to answer this, how young are you?
I'll be 50 next year.
And so if we were to put things in perspective, and this is just for listeners and watchers out there, we use the phrase age is just a number, which I think is rubbish, because if it was, we would live forever. So I always put that out there. Age isn't a number. There's obviously, I'm 45, so I'm a little way behind you. And, all of the clients that we work with are probably over 40. I mean, we've worked with people all the way up to I think 71. There was definitely a chap who I think was 71. And all of the people who are most successful, because a lot of people think to themselves, "Oh, I'm 40 now, I'm over the hill." I just don't understand that mentality. I have more energy now at 45. It doesn't mean I find things easier now. No, stuff's definitely more difficult. But I think it's like you said, you can't get anywhere with a negative mindset. If people just have a positive mindset, even in the face of adversity, even in the face of others' negativity, even in the face of past failure, no matter any of that, if they do what you do, which is just have a positive outlook. Sometimes the goal might not be achieved. I don't even see that as failure. Failure is not having gone after the goal in the first place. In my mind, there are only two differences between a successful person and a non-successful person in basically anything. There's only two differences. It's that simple. And those two differences are: a successful person started after the goal. They got up off their backside and they went after it. And the other difference is when they failed or they got stuck or they fell over, fell down, they just got up and carried on. And literally, if I think I was to boil it down, that's all it comes down to, because sadly, most people will, let's imagine the 20 pounds. I'm sure during that period, there may have been points where your weight went up a little bit or got stagnant a little bit. Right, absolutely. What you did, clearly, because you achieved the goal, was went, okay, it's part of the process. I trust what's going on. Today's a different, tomorrow's a different day. I'll just get up and carry on doing what, whereas someone might be like, oh, blow it, I'm gonna have a pizza anyway because things are going wrong, and then the progress is lost no matter what. So listen, I know that you're sat there, obviously you're sitting there, finish your workout, you need to go and get changed and get off to work, so I'm not going to keep you here any longer, but Katie, absolute pleasure to catch up with you and just see how amazing. I mean, I see the little notes that Shana's been writing, and I sort of knew the progress was going on, but to hear it from you and to see how absolutely amazing you look, I'm so, I'm delighted you're here in the program. You're an absolute star. So thank you again for coming on. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of people that would have listened to, all the things that you've been going through. You've definitely not had an easy ride with, all the challenges that you've been facing, but your attitude is the thing that is seeing you through this, and I applaud you for that. I'll be watching out for the reports of your success through the upcoming goals that you've got in front of you. For now, Katie, listen, I'm going to let you get out of the gym and get off to work. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.